All right, good evening, guys. We are welcome to another data analysis class. So tonight we are going to be talking about pivot tables. We are going to be talking about pivot tables, how to use pivot tables to analyze data. So let me quickly share my screen with you guys. Okay, all right. So, without further ado, we are just going to dive in. Remember last week we talked about tables and how to convert tables to pivot tables, and I explained that pivot tables are used to analyze your data efficiently and quickly to get your insights. So right now we're going to be using our normal car data set for our analysis. Right now, my table, this is already a table. It has been converted to a table from range. For those of us that cannot remember how to do that, please check the class on tables, how to convert from a range to a table. So right now, this is a table, but remember we want to work with pivot tables. So how do we get our pivot tables? You come to insert, and then you click on the pivot table. It is the first option there. You click on pivot table. So after clicking on pivot table, remember I said because Excel recognizes this as a table, because Excel recognizes that a table, is going to automatically select the whole table for you. It's going to automatically select the whole table for you, and you just need to leave it on new worksheet. So your pivot table can be created in a new worksheet, and then you click OK. So right now you have a new worksheet which is already created for you which is already created for you. So right now here we can do our analysis. Remember the columns we have here, we have our make, we have model, we have color, we have mileage, we have price, and then we also have cost. So right now these are the things that we're going to be using to carry our analysis. So assuming we want to get maybe the price or the cost of each car make or each car model or each color or a car color, depending on what we want to analyze. So let us start from make. I drag my make, I put it in the row fields. Remember last week when we talked about this too, I told you the functionality of these four columns here. You can see where my mouse is hovering. Filters, columns, rows, and values. Once you drag any criteria into the rows, it is going to view, it's going to be shown as rows. That's why all these car makes are in rows. Chevrolet, Ford, Honda, Nissan, and Toyota, they are all in rows. If you drag it to the column, if you drag it to the column section, you can see now they are in columns. Chevrolet is in column A, Ford is in column B, Honda is in column C, and so on and so forth. But let us leave it on rows so that our data can actually look small and then we can view everything at once. So we said we wanted to know the price of each of these car make. So we drive our price to the values column. The reason why price is coming to the values column is because price is actually a value, is a number. So it has to be in the values column so that you can see each price of each car make. So right now we have our first analysis, which we have done. Right now we have the prices of all the car makes that we have. But like I said, now, if I want to get the highest price from each of these cars, they are not sorted accordingly to the price. Do you know they are scattered? I'm having Chevrolet is having 4.1 million, Ford is having 3.7, then I'm having another 4.1 million in Nissan. So I need to arrange this data in an hierarchical form, in an order. I need is either I arrange it from the highest price to the lowest price, or I arrange it from the lowest price to the highest price. So how do you do that on Excel in your pivot table? You need to sort. You need to sort your data. So how do you sort your data? You bring your mouse to where you want to sort. Remember, we are sorting the price. We want to sort them, either we sort them from the smallest to the largest, or we sort them from the largest to the smallest. So you bring your cursor and then you right click and then you look for the sort option. This is sort here. So let us say we want to set sort from smallest to largest. So you can see right now it's telling us that Honda is the smallest, has the smallest price of 3.7 million, and Toyota has the highest price of 4.2 million. This is done, this was ably done by the sort function. So now right now it is sorted from the smallest to the largest. Now let us try to sort it from the largest to the smallest this time. You repeat the same thing, you right click, you come to sort, and then you choose from largest to smallest. So you can see Toyota, which has the largest price of 4.2 million, followed by Nissan, down all the way to Honda. So that is how you sort your data in pivot tables. Okay, so right now, in this pivot table, I only have the price of this car make. Maybe I also want to view the cost also. I drag the cost and put it under the price. So you can see, you can analyze multiple information. You can analyze multiple information on just one pivot table. So right now, this pivot table is telling me the price and the cost of each car make. This pivot table is telling me the price and the cost of each car make. So once you've done your analysis like this, it is always ideal for you to actually name your sheets. You name the sheet where your pivot table is, because you might be given a large data set where you'll be having like 10 pivot tables on 10 different sheets. So you need to name them so you don't get confused. Don't mix up your sheets. So now, right now, let us name these sheets. We're going to name it price. We're going to name it price and cost of car make. All right, so that is done. So right now, all the only analysis we've performed here has just been performed on car make. But if you come to our pivot table fields here, we still have other things that we can perform an analysis on. We've not touched the model, we've not touched the color. So now let us try to do another analysis on maybe the car model this time around, or the car color. So what do? You go back to your data set. What do? You go back to your data set, and then you create another pivot table. You create another pivot table, and then you click on OK. You create another pivot table, and then you click on OK. So right now, we want to talk about the model. I drag my model to the rows. I have my car models. I have my car models listed, and then okay, maybe right now I only want to talk about the cost. So I have the cost listed here. So it's similar to the first one we have. Now, right now, I only want to visualize, I only want to analyze the cost. So I have the cost of all the car makes. Remember, we need to sort them so that we will know which one is the highest and which one is the smallest. So what do we do there? You right click, you come to sort, and then you choose, maybe you are sorting from the smallest or you are sorting from the largest. So largest to smallest. So we know that. Okay, so we know that Civic has the highest cost in 3.4 million. So that is how to sort your data in pivot table. So right now, let me go back to my original data set. Now, I only have the values I have here are mileage, price, and cost. So assuming I want to add another column, to this price and cost, we only have mileage, price, and cost. Assuming I want to add another column, maybe I want to calculate the profit this time around. Remember, this is a table. So when I get my value, when I put my header of profit here, it automatically generates that column for me. So I have created another column in this our original data set, in this our original table. So how do I get the profits? For all of us that know a little bit of maths or in business, we know your price minus cost will give you your profit. So let us try to do that. Is equals to, we get our price here, and then we minus it by our cost, and then we press enter. We're going to get all the values, because this is one of the, when we were doing tables, I told you that this is one of the functionalities of a table. This is a calculated column that we have already gotten right now. So we have the profit of each of these car, make, model, and color. But right now, when we go back to our pivot table, okay, let us try to create another pivot table. Let us try to create another pivot table where we can use the profit that we just created. Let's create another pivot table. Okay. So our pivot table is another sheet. All right. So right now, when I come to the fields right now, I'm still having my make, model, color, mileage, price, and cost, but I can't see my profit. I can't see my profit. Though the profit has been created in the original data set, it is not reflecting in the pivot table fields yet. So what do you need to do at this time? You need to update your data. You need to update your data, or you need to refresh. Remember, when we started this analysis, profits, this column was not there. The profit column was not there. We just created the profit column. So we need we updated our sheet with the profit column. So the same way you updated your table, you need to also update your pivot table too. You need to also update your pivot table or you refresh. So how do you refresh your pivot table so that your cost, your profit column rather, will appear in these pivot table fields here? So how do you do that? You come to data, you come to the data tab, and then from there, you see a refresh. You see refresh button here. You see refresh, you can see refresh here. You click on it, you click on the drop down, and then you click on refresh or refresh all. So once you do that, let us go back to our pivot table fields. We can all see that our profit has already been added. Our profit has already been added. That was ably done because we've already refreshed our data so that our pivot table reflects the information that is now on the original data set. Let me try to take that. Let me try to do that explanation again. Remember when we started out, we only had make, model, color, mileage, price, and cost. There was no profit. Later on, we added profit to it so that we could calculate the profit of all these criteria that we have. So after creating the profit, we noticed that it was not showing on our table, on our pivot table fields, even after we've added it to our table, to our original data set. So I said for you to make sure your new data reflects in your pivot table, you need to come to data. You click on data tab here, and then you click on refresh all, and then whatever data that you've added in your data set on your table is going to reflect in your pivot table fields. Okay, so now let us look at the car make again. The car make that is giving us the highest amount of profits in this car business. Okay, we've gotten it. Let me enlarge my screen so that you all can see. So we've gotten that. So right now, let us try to sort. So we can actually get the values correctly, the ones that have the highest profit and the ones that has the highest. So let us sort from the largest to the smallest. So right now, we can see that Toyota is giving us the highest profits of over 800,000, and then Honda is having a profit of over 500,000. So you can see the beauty of pivot tables, that it allows you to analyze your data. Right now, if let us assume one of us is the owner of this business, and then I'm performing this analysis on the sales of these cars. Normally, I'll know that now because I've used the pivot table to actually analyze, get my sum of profit of all these car makes that I'm selling. I will know that, oh, Toyota is my money maker. Toyota is what is bringing me much more money. So I'll rather focus on maybe importing more Toyota cars, because many people are buying Toyota, than importing more Honda cars. So you've made informed decisions from this original data set. Just by looking at this data set alone, there is no way, if I tell you which cars is making the most profit, if you look at it from now till Sunday, you will not be able to get me the ones that is making the highest profit, or the ones that has the highest cost, or the ones that highest price. You can't, because this data is raw. But when you analyze it using a pivot table, you're going to be able to see your data clearly. So that is how we'll be able to get all this. So remember, like I said, after creating a pivot table, it is ideal for you to name the sheet so that you don't get confused. So this second one we did, you can name it cost of car models. And then this third one we did, we can name it profit of car make. Okay, let us try to analyze one more, maybe based on the color. So we come here, we repeat the same thing. Insert, we insert a pivot table. You click on your pivot table, and then you click OK. And then you click OK. So right now we said we want to work with the color. Okay, so now let us get the car color. Let me make this bigger for everyone to see. So we've gotten the car colors. We have black, blue, red, silver, and white. So let us get the price. Okay, and after that, I said once you do that, sort it immediately so that you'll be able to know which one is the highest and which one is the smallest. So right now we've done at least, okay, let me name this last analysis we've done now. This is price of car color. Okay, All right. So we've been able to do 4 analyses based on our original data set, and we've been able to sort everything. Everything is either sorted accordingly. Everything is sorted accordingly, either from the smallest to the largest or from the largest to the smallest. So right now, let us talk about filtering our data. We all know what filter means. If you are asked what is the meaning of filter, filter is like removing a piece of information from a whole set of information. So that's explanation applies to filter too also. So now let me start for my first analysis, price and cost of car make. Or okay, let us start with cost of car models. So right now, I'm looking as a business owner, I'm looking at this analysis, which is telling me the cost of all the car models I have. Do you understand? Yes, I have the analysis now. But right now, I'm only interested in the top 3 cars that have the highest cost. The top 3 cars that have the highest cost. Right now, this pivot table is showing me 5 cars, all the cars in the business, the 5 cars in the business is showing me their cost. But as a business owner, I'm not interested in that. I only want to know the top 3 cars that actually have the highest cost. So that means I need to filter. I need to filter this information and just get the top 3. I need to filter this information and just get the top 3. So how do I go about that? So I right click, I come to where my cars are. Remember when we were sorting, we sorted according to the numbers, according to the values. But right now, when we want to filter, you filter based on the item itself. You filter based on the criteria itself. And what's the criteria here? They are the car models. So I want to get the top 3 cars with the highest amount of cost. So I right click anywhere. And then I come to filter. This is filter here. And then I click on what? Top 10. This is where we have our business suite. Let me start that again. I right click anywhere on my criteria here. And then I come to filter. And then I click on what? Top 10. And then I click on top 10. So after doing that, so like remember we said we wanted to get top 3. Remember we said we wanted to get the top 3 car models that actually have the highest cost. So when we've gotten the top, so it's showing me number 10 here. We are not looking for top 10, we are looking for top 3. So you adjust accordingly. You leave it on 3. You leave all these other ones, items, sum of cost. Yes, that is what we are working with. And then you click on OK. Take a look at your pivot table. Right now, you have just 3 right now. Initially, it was 5. Initially, we had the 5 car models showing. But because we filtered our information based on the top 3, just to show the top 3, we were able to get just the top 3 car models that has the highest price. So let me do that again. So this time around, let us try to get the bottom 2 this time around. It is the same process. You right click, and then you come to filter. You click on top 10. Remember now we say we want to get the bottom 2. It's no longer top. So you come here, you change it to what? Bottom. You change it to bottom, and then you choose your number accordingly. We said bottom 2. You click on 2, and then what? You click on OK. So right now, you can see our values have changed. Right now, we have Mustang and Malibu, and they are giving us their values. So this is letting us know that these are the bottom 2 cars according to what? Cost. They are the bottom 2 cars according to what? Cost. So let me remove the filter, and then we have everything showing how it is. So guys, that is pivot table at a glance. And so what we've covered so far, we've been able to create multiple pivot tables. I've also shown you how to update, how to refresh a pivot table when you add a new information to your table, how to update, how to refresh your pivot table so that the new information also reflects in your pivot table. And now we've talked about filtering and sorting a pivot table. Okay, so right now, let me show you some things that can go wrong while you are working on your pivot table. Some things that can go wrong while you are working on your pivot table. Okay, for example, remember I said, when a pivot table is actually made up of 2 different things. Right now, where my mouse is, Where my mouse is where your values appear. These are where your values appear. And then right here by the right, these are your fields. This is where you actually do the analysis. This is where you drag these criterias, these columns, these headers. This is where you drag them to where they are supposed to be. This is where we dragged our model to show under rows, and this is where we dragged our cost to show under values. So these are the two things that actually make up a pivot table. Whatever you do on your fields, which is by the right, it is what is going to show on the table, which is by the left. So there could be some times where you're working and then you suddenly find out that your pivot table is no longer showing and you still want to do more analysis. You just find out that maybe you've clicked something and you don't know what you clicked, or you just found out that you just saw that your pivot table is no longer showing. And your pivot table is supposed to show as long as you are within your field list, which is by the right, is supposed to show as long as you are clicked on the pivot table. This is the pivot table here that I'm clicking on. As long as you are clicked on it, as long as you are within it, your pivot, your fields, which is always by the right, is supposed to show. But right now, it is not showing. So what do? You don't need to close your work. You don't need to undo. You don't need to do anything. The only thing you need to do is to right-click anywhere in the pivot table. Right-click anywhere in the pivot table, and then you come to the last option, which is what? Show field list. You come to the last option, which is what? Show field list, and then you click on it, and then your pivot table is back. You click on it, and then your pivot table is back. So that is one of the things that could actually go wrong when you are actually working on your pivot table. So let me show you another thing. So right now, we are having the car makes, the car models here, and their summation of the cost. But take a look, we also have a grand total here. It's also telling us the grand total of this cost of all the cars. If you don't want if you are not interested in actually seeing the grand total, you only want to see the individual cost of each of the vehicle model, you can actually get rid of this grand total. You can actually get rid of this grand total. So how do you do that? You right click anywhere in the pivot table. You right click anywhere in the pivot table, and then you come to pivot table options. You come to pivot table options. You come to pivot table options. Do you understand? After opening that, then you now come to totals and filters. It's actually right here at the top, totals and filters. So here is now going to show you grand totals. Everything is clicked on that grand total. So you click on them to remove. You click on those two things to remove, and then you click OK. You can see your grand total is gone. Your grand total is gone. Let me do that again. Let me do it in another pivot table. Right now, we have the grand total of the profit for the car make. I'm not interested in the grand total. I only want to see the individual profit for each of the car makes. So how do I remove the grand profit? I said I right click anywhere on the data, anywhere on the pivot table, and I come to pivot table options. Pivot table options. I click on it. After clicking on it, I come to totals and filters, and then I uncheck for all the grand totals they're showing for rows and showing for columns, and then I click on OK. And you can see my grand total showing for grand total is no longer there. So those are some of the things that you can actually use to modify or rectify your pivot table if it happens. So at this junction, we've created multiple pivot tables. So right now we want to visualize our pivot table. Yes, we've already done our analysis, but your job as a data analyst is not complete unless you can actually present your data, unless you can actually visualize your data, unless you can actually let people understand this data by seeing them at first glance. Right now, this data is still like in a tabular form. I have to still go through it and be checking, okay, Toyota has this, Nissan has this. It is not visualized yet. Yes, it is analyzed in the sense that we now know the prices of each of the car make, and they've also been sorted according to the largest one to the smallest one, but it has still not been visualized. You need to visualize your data, and that is where charts come in. That is where charts come in, the power of charts. Charts in Excel allows you to what? To visualize your data, to present your data based on the analysis you've already done. So guys, you can see that it is a process. You first of all analyze your data before you can what? Visualize it. So right now, we said at least we've done a mini analysis using the pivot table to get 4 different pivot tables and different information. So right now we want to visualize right now we want to visualize them using charts. So how do we go about that? Now let us start with our first pivot table here. We want to create a chart from this pivot table. Let me get rid of my fields here so that I can actually have the whole field to myself. So we're going to be creating our first chart using this pivot table. So what do? We leave our cursor. We still click in anywhere in the pivot table. We leave it there, and then we come to insert. Insert is where all the fun is. Remember, insert is where you go your table, and also remember, insert is where you can also get your pivot table. Right now, insert is also where you can get your chart. So you come to insert, and then you come to charts. There's a dedicated section for it already. You can see where my mouse is hovering. This is your charts section here. So we click on this arrow to actually have an overview of all the charts. So here it is. So if you can see by the left here on this straight line here, there are all kinds of charts here, starting from the column, line, pie, by, and so on and so forth. There are like a dozen and more different types of charts here. We're going to be taking each and every one of them we're going to be taking them one by one. We're going to be touching on them. I'm going to be explaining them one by one because they all have different functionalities. They all have how they appear and how they work. So we're going to be taking them one by one so you all understand how to use all these charts whenever you want to use them. All charts are free to use. In fact, when we start building our dashboard from any analysis we've done, we are going to be incorporating the use of all of these charts so that our dashboard can actually be informative and visually appealing enough. So right now we are kicking off with the column chart. This is the first chart there. So you can see it's giving us a preview. You can see, look at the preview. Take a look at the axis under. Our row label is already listed there. Toyota, Nissan, Chevrolet, Ford, and Honda. And then by the left here, you have your prices. So let us click OK so we can take it to the main page. OK. All right. So this is our chart, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first chart we've created from our analysis. So if you can see, looking at the chart, you already notice things. You already notice familiar things. What is on your pivot table is the representation you are seeing on your charts. The analysis you did on your pivot table, it is what you are going to see visually represented on your chart. So you can see on this our pivot table, we did an analysis of price and cost of our car makes. That is why we are having 2 columns for one car make. Because you can see 2 columns, 1 column in blue, 1 column in orange. Because we did 2 analyses, price and cost. And if you come here, this place is called the legend. This place is called the legend. Where my mouse is currently open, we call it the legend. This shows the color and the name of the columns. So right now, he's telling us the blue color represents price and the orange color represents cost. So if you come back to our buyer, we can see that, oh, this blue is actually talking about the price. The price is up to like more than 4 million. If you check Toyota's price on your pivot table, is 4.2 million. So that is why this blue bar is actually more than 4 million, but it's not getting to 4.5 million. So you can see, so it is an actual representation of your pivot table. So now this chart, there are so many things we can do on this chart to actually modify it and make it look much more appealing again, make it much more informative. So what do we do that? How do we do that rather? We use our chart elements. chart element. They are called chart element. When you click on your chart, you're going to see this plus button. If you can see where my mouse is hovering right now, you can see where my mouse is hovering right now. This plus button, it is called what? Chart element. If you look at the caption, Excel is telling us chart elements allows you to add, remove, or change your chart elements, such as your title, your legend, your grid lines, and data labels. So, before, according to the initial explanation I told you, these chart elements will allow you to modify so many things on this chart that will even make it look more appealing and much more informative. So let us click on it. So right now we've clicked on it. This is this appearing here. Okay, let me make this a little bit big. I want it to appear by the right. Please hold on. Let me reduce the size of our charts. Okay, so right now we have our chart element. When you click on it, it brings out this little pop-up box by the right. And you can see there are different chart elements. We are going to be touching each of them one by one. So the first one is axis. The first one is axis. For those of us that can remember mathematics class back then, when we were being taught graphs, or charts, mainly graphs, they'll tell us that there's something called X and Y axis. They'll tell us there's something called X and Y axis. I can't really recall where X is and Y is now, but I know that for you to always have a chart or for a graph, there will always be an X and there will always be a Y axis, or an horizontal axis or a vertical axis. So the same thing applies to our charts here. If you can see, the axis is already clicked. So which is telling you that yes, our axes are already present in this chart. So if you take a look at the left here, where my mouse is, you can see the numbers. You can see the numbers. The numbers are indicative of these numbers that are in your pivot table. We are having a number starting from 4.5 million and then as low as 5 million. Do you understand? This is representing the numbers that are in your pivot table. And then we come to these other axes here, where there is Toyota, Nissan, Chevrolet, Ford, and Honda. This is also representing your data in your pivot table. So this is another axis. So you're having one axis here and another axis here. It is your axes are showing because in your chart element, they are already clicked. So let me even unclick them and then let us see what will happen. Let me remove it. Right now, I've removed it. So can you see? Right now, on the left, no axis. At the bottom, no axis. If you present your data right now using this, leaving it in this way, so I was saying, if you present your data in this way, you've already misled so many of your audience, in the sense that now nobody can differentiate between the X and Y axis. Nobody knows where the X axis is. Nobody knows what is representing, which is representing which. Nobody knows which is representing which. I don't know which one is Toyota. I don't know which one is Nissan. I don't know which one is Ford. I don't know which one is Honda, because we got rid of one of the what they call it. We got rid of the axis. So it is always ideal when you are having your chart, you always have to have an axis. Let your axis be present so that your chart is informative enough. So right now my axes are back. But assuming I really don't want an axis, maybe I don't want this axis, this one that has the number axis, think the Y axis. So I can come to this arrow here that is in front of axis. It's going to show me, it's going to give me two options: primary horizontal or primary vertical. They are both clicked because the two axes are quite active. They are quite showing now. So assuming I remove one, the one of primary horizontal. So primary horizontal is the one that had the names, the one at the bottom. So right now I removed it, but you can see that the other axis is still present. Let me bring that back. Let me remove the other one, the vertical. So right now you can see now the prices, the amounts for the prices is actually gone because I've removed the primary vertical axis. But like I said, it is always ideal for you to have your axis always showing so that your data is visually informative enough. So let us leave it at that. So that is axis. Always leave your axis on so that people can understand your data at first glance. So we're going to be covering the other one, which is what? Axis titles. We are still dealing with axis, but right now, axis titles. For now, our axis doesn't have a title. In the sense that assuming we are presenting this data to the general public, and not everybody knows that Toyota, Nissan, Chevrolet, Ford, and Honda, not everybody knows that they are cars. You will see people asking you, what are these things they are talking about? What do they mean? So sometimes it is necessary for you to name your axis. It is necessary for you to give your axis a title. So right now, if you come to this second option, axis title, okay, let us click it. Let us select it. So right now you can see it's selected, and then it has given us an option, an axis title at the horizontal and an axis title at the vertical, an axis title on the y-axis and an axis title on the x-axis. So now let us name this horizontal one. We all know these are car names. So for you to name it, just double click in the middle. Just double click anywhere and just name it cars. And just name it cars. You can see. So anybody seeing this Toyota, Nissan, and the likes, and then they are looking at the title, they know, oh, okay, they are talking about cars because you've already named your axis. You've already what? Named your axis. Now let us name the other axis. This is price. Yes, this is, you can name this price. Remember, it is two analysis that is showing on this, not only price and what? Cost. Remember, it's price and cost we have, not just price. That is why we are having two. That's why we are having two columns showing there, not just one. We have two columns showing there. So right now we have what? Price and cost. So right now we've already named our axis. Most times it's also ideal where when you have an axis showing, name that axis too, so that people will actually know what you are talking about. People will know the name of the axis that you are referring to. So we are still on chart elements. We go further to the third one, chart title. Chart title. From the name, you should, or from that name, you should already know what chart title means. You are giving your chart a title. You are naming your chart. As it is now, before we clicked on it, there was no chart title. There was no title. So even when you are presenting it, people will ask you, please, what is the name of this chart? What is the name of this chart? Or even when you're not even presenting, when you submit your data, you don't need to be telling people that, oh, the first chart you will see is showing, this is showing price and cost of cars. No, you can name it so that when they see it, they already know what they are saying. So how do you do that? You're still on our chart element, and then you click on what? Chart title. So it gives you this option, and then you do what? You click in the middle, and then you write your chart title. You write the title accordingly. So the title of this chart is price and cost of a mix. So we've gotten our chart title. So anybody saying this from anywhere will know that, oh, okay, all right, this particular chart is actually visualizing the price and cost of car mix in the car business. We were able to do that by coming to our chart elements. So let me recap. We've been able to talk about the axis. The axis are your X and Y, or your primary, or your horizontal and your vertical. Like I said, it is always ideal for you to leave your axis on your chart. And I said, if you are having an axis, it is also common sense or ideal to also name your axis. You can also name your axis, give you an axis title so that people can actually know the name of that axis. Then we just talked about chart title, naming your chart so that people can know what your chart is talking about at first glance. So right now we move on to the next one, data labels. We move on to what? Data labels. So right now, let us click it. Let us click it. It's a bit jumbled. Let me try to make okay. Right now, our chart is a bit bigger now. Let's see if I can make that bigger again. Okay, so right now we can see chart labels. data labels rather. This is it over here, data labels. So you can see this is explanatory enough. Before we clicked it, let me remove it. Before we click, you can see, look at our bars, look at our chart. It wasn't labeled with anything in the sense that, okay, I know Toyota, it has the highest price and is above 4 million. But what is the exact number without looking at my pivot table? What is the exact number? I can't get the exact number from this chart just by looking at it. That is where your data labels come in. When you label your chart, you're going to be able to, it's going to label, it's going to give you the exact price. It's going to label the exact price which you analyze on your pivot table. It's going to show it here on your chart. So right now, I can tell you that, yes, I was correct that Toyota is above 4 million, but the actual price is 4.2 million plus, which we have here. So that is the functionality of what data labels. Most of the times, it is imperative or it is ideal for you to label your data, because what you are trying to do is to let people understand the story, give people insights, give people informed decisions that is behind your data. So them seeing these numbers, they already can make their own decisions. They can make their own deductions from that. And that is your job as a what? Data analyst. So most times it's always ideal for you to have data labels in most of the data that you have, so that your data is informative enough. So right now we can all see this is very, very informative in the sense that from my chart, I can tell the exact number of each price and cost of the car makes that we have on file on the chart rather. So right now we move on. We are still on chart elements, ladies and gentlemen. So we talked about we've talked about four: axis titles, chart title, and data label. So now right now let's talk about data table. Let's click on it and see what it gives us. So right now you can see data label. Look beneath your chart. It summed all your information in a table. It summed all your information in the table. The same thing you have on your pivot table is what is replicating here. So this is not really ideal enough in the sense that we already have a pivot table. So I don't need a table in my charts any longer. I don't need a table in my chart any longer. So you can always remove this. You can always remove this and let your chart tell its story. Let your chart tell the story of the data. You don't need your data table. Though it is possible to include your table in your chart, but most times it's not ideal because your chart should be visually informative and should not be jumbled with unnecessary information. We already have a pivot table, so we don't need a data table in our charts. So we move on. Error bars, that's the next one. If you click on error bars, if you guys can see, just take a look at the columns. It's showing some error bars, but this is not really needed in most charts too. This is not really needed in most sites. It's very, very rare when you come across charts actually showing error bars. So you can also get rid of that. You get rid of that. So the next one is grid lines. What are grid lines? Please, everyone should take a look at this chart that we created. You're going to be seeing some lines at the back. You can see my mouse is currently on one line. It's on another line. It's currently on another line too. Let me keep it on this first line. These are grid lines. These are grid lines. You can, this is, the grid lines just mark, you can see they are all attached to the prices. It's starting from 0, the grid line for 0, the grid line for 1 million, the grid line for 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. So he just tries to draw a line and mark where your graphs are showing. But it is a matter of choice. Most of the time, if I'm working personally, I get rid of my grid lines. And if you get rid of your grid lines, this is how your chart is going to look like. This is how your chart is going to look like. Right now, there are no grid lines there. Right now, there are no grid lines. And if you want it back, you just simply click it back and then they are back. So right now, let's talk about the last one, legend. We talk about legend. So I mentioned this earlier. What are our legend? Your legend is right here. You can see where my mouse is hovering. Your legend is right here. And what is the functionality of your legend? What does your legend do? Your legend allows you to identify your data, especially when you're having multiple analysis that you are showing. Right now in this chart, we are analyzing price and cost, which is 2. We're analyzing price and cost, which is 2. So we have different columns for each other. So the legend is letting you to know that it has already assigned a color. It has already assigned a color to each of those analyses. It has assigned a color to each of those values. So now let us look at our legend here. The blue color is telling us it has assigned blue to what? Price, and it has assigned orange to what? Cost. So anywhere you are looking for cost, you need to know that anywhere you are looking for cost, you need to know that you are looking for the what? Orange bars. And if you are looking for price, you should know that you are looking for the what? The blue bars. That is the functionality of a legend. So when you're having multiple information like this, if you remove your legend, let me remove it. If you remove your legend and then you are presenting this, the question the whole audience will be asking you is, please, which one is blue? What does blue represent? What does red represent? Do you understand? You don't need to tell them yourself. The only thing you need to do is activate your legend, and then it is self-explanatory enough. They know anywhere they see blue means price, and they know anywhere they see orange means cost. So that is what your legend is like. So we've covered everything in charts elements. So when you guys are working with your charts, as you'll be doing in the assignments that I'll be giving you going forward, I expect you guys to make use of most of these functionalities under chart element. That is why I took my time to actually go through them and show you what they mean. So right now we've been able to visually improve these charts, but we can still do more improvement. Do you understand? We can still do more improvement. So let me just show you. Okay, for this our chart title, we have our chart title. You can actually make it, because it's a title. Because it's a title, we can actually make it bold. You come to your normal home button here, you can actually make it bold. You can also increase the price. You can also give it a color of your choice. You can also give it a color of your choice, or give it a background of your choice. Give it a background of your choice, depending on what you feel you want to make. You can see I have actually tried to make this look much more appealing. Okay, let me do that for the axis also. The axis title, I can make it bold. Give it a little bit of size. Okay, let me apply the same color, the same, something like this. And then let me do the same thing for the other axis title. Let me make it a bit bold. Let me increase the size a bit. Let me increase the size. Let me apply the same color combination to it. So you can see, you can do the same thing for virtually everything that is on your chart. For example, these data labels, maybe they are all in black. Maybe I want to give a separate color to the ones to the price, and a separate color to the labels, of course. So I can come here, make this a little bit bold. Maybe for the price, which is in blue, let me give it a purple color. And then for the cost, let me make that bold. Let me give that a blue. Okay, I think the blue is clashing. Okay, let me give it what color won't clash? Let me give it okay, something like this. So you can see this I'm teaching you this so that it allows you to actually differentiate your data. But one thing you guys have to notice, remember, we are all data analysts. We are not graphic designers. So your chart is not an avenue for where you'll be applying multiple colors. You'll be applying unnecessary formats. Do you understand? Because as a data analyst, you have to remain professional with the information you are trying to pass across. You have to make your chart visibly appealing, yes, but not to the point where you just add so many colors that when people are seeing it, they cannot even see the information. What people are interested in this is not the colors you are applying. What they want to know is the numbers, is the underlying numbers. What I want to see is what is the highest price, who has the highest price, and what is the highest price. For example, maybe I'm only interested in Toyota. I only want to see the price of Toyota, and which is 4.2 million. and the cost is 3.4 million. That is the only information that is important on this chart. All other things we do, the color and everything, they are secondary. They are just to make it a little bit appealing. So don't go overboard and don't spend too much time applying colors, different kind of formats to your chart. The most important thing is what you should focus on, which are the numbers themselves, which are the charts, the bars themselves. So I think with that, we've been able to talk about talk about pivot tables comfortably, sorting and filtering, also updating a pivot table, and I've showed you how to create the first chart, which is a column chart. So let me finish up on this chart. So right now you can see we have some buttons on this chart. We call them buttons. I'm seeing where my mouse is, sum of cost, sum of price, and I'm also seeing make. It's giving us these buttons because they are what is on our charts. We have the price on our chart, we have the buttons on our chart, we have the make. But I can get rid of them. I don't need to see all these. I can get rid of them because my chart is explanatory enough. So how do I get rid of them? I just right click. I right click on any of them, and then I come to this place, hide all field buttons on charts. Can we all see it? Hide all field buttons on chart. And then we click that. We click that. And then it's all gone. And then it's all gone. So right now, our chart is good to go. One last thing that I can also show you, you can come to the design. When you click on your chart, you have a design option that is activated on your menu bar here. So you come to the design. Let me open this functionality. So this gives us different ways of actually representing our charts. You can make use of any of them, but mind you, my initial little warning, you are data analyst, not graphic designer. So don't waste too much time looking at how beautiful or how colorful your data is. That is not what we're after. We want to see the original analysis. We want to see the analysis. That is why you are called a data analyst and not a graphic designer. Okay, so let us leave it. Let us do something like this. Our okay, in the sense that we can still see all our information right there. So this is just this is just one chart that we've talked about. Now I'm going to delete this and I'm going to we're going to practice on another chart. Remember when we first started selecting the chart, we had like a dozen charts that were available to us, and this is just the first one that we've taken. So we are going to take one more chart to actually see how that works. So let me delete this. Let me get rid of this. I still have my pivot table there. Okay, let us work with, okay, let me bring it back. Let's leave it. We're going to go, let us go and work with another pivot table because we have 4 that we created. So now let us create another kind of chart for this pivot table. Remember, I said leave your cursor anywhere on the pivot table, and then you come to insert, and then you come to insert, and then you open the functionality of your chart, and then you open your functionality of your chart. So right now we are not choosing column. We're going to choose line. We're going to choose the line chart. So let us click on that line, and then we click on OK. So this is a line chart, ladies and gentlemen. It's different. It's quite different from the column chart because the name differs. Column will show your data in column, in bars, in columns, while the line chart is going to show your data as lines. So right now we have this. Is our data sorted? Let us see. Is this data sorted? Let me check it again. Sorted from largest to smallest. Okay, so right now our data is sorted. So you can see it's telling us that the highest is starting from Civic and Camry. They are a bit head to head, same thing as Ultima, but there's a sharp drop down for Mustang and then Malibu. They are almost the same thing. So this is a very, very nice chart to use when you are also representing your information. So please note, the chart element also apply. The chart element which we applied to our first chart here also applies here. So let me make sense of that. Let me try to use my own chart element to actually modify these charts according to my own preference, according to my own taste. Okay, first of all, let me get rid of the grid lines. Let me get rid of the grid lines. Let me remove the field buttons. I said, if you want to remove the field buttons, you right click on any. I hide all the field buttons. So now let me rename my chart title. Chart title is what? Cost of car models. You make it a big bold. You understand? That is my course title. So right now, this legend is here. I don't need the legend because this is just one specific data. It is different from this our initial one, this first one, because this one has two data. So it's giving me the color of each one. But because this is just one data, I don't need this legend. So I can come to my chart elements here and remove the legend. I don't need the legend because this is just one data. So I remove my legend. I don't need the legend. So the legend is actually gone. So I think this data, except I want to now maybe give some colors to my maybe my axis. Okay, let me name my axis. I've not named my axis. Let me name my axis. Okay, let me give this axis a title. So these are car models. Remember, we have car makes and models so that people don't get it wrong. Let us name our car models. Let us name our axis rather. So this is a car model, and then this is what? Cost. And this is what? Cost. Okay, so that's that. So before we go ahead, please let me go back to my pivot table. You can see this is sum of cost. These are numbers. Do you understand? We can also actually modify them the way we were taught earlier in the class. I can actually put a separator, a comma separator. You know, if you are writing anything that is 1,000 upwards, you need to have a comma between the zeros. So let me apply that to this. Let me apply that to this. I put a comma. You can see whatever I'm applying to my pivot table is showing on my chart also. Let me remove the decimal line. Let me remove decimals. You can see now, look at it now. It is even much more because before there was no separator. It was just written like that. But right now I have my separator, so I can know this is actually in millions. This is actually in millions. I can also add a currency. Let me add the United States dollars. I can also add the currency. You can see, look at my data. Look at my chart rather. It has also been added. Let me remove the decimals. So you can see my separator, my comma separator has been added, and my currency has also been added. So these are some of the things you can actually do to enhance your charts. These are some of the things that you can actually do to enhance your chart. So let us leave this like this. We don't let us waste much time putting colors on everything. Let us move on. So right now we've done another type of chart. This is a line chart. Okay, let me see if I can do one more thing. Maybe add my data labels to this. Okay, this should work. This is okay too. You can see now my data labels are there. So if my data labels are there, I can get rid of maybe my horizontal axis. Sorry, my vertical axis rather. Maybe I can get rid of, since I already have the exact prices then. So yes, since I already have the exact numbers there, I can just get rid of this. So let me get rid of the axis title, just delete this. So you can see this is a straightforward line chart. So now we move on. So we remember we said there were so many charts that we could actually take there. So right now we're going to talk about another type of charts. Let us go to another pivot table. So right now we are in a pivot table that is telling us the profits of each of the car make. So we go to insert. Insert is where all the fun is. We come to charts. So what chart can we actually discuss here this time around? So we have the pie chart up next. We have the pie chart up next, which is it here, pie. Most of us will be familiar with this, but We are also going to do it for the sake of everyone. So when you click on your pie, you can see it has already showed you a sample. So a pie chart, what a pie chart does is that it gives you information based on it is a huge circle, and then it divides it into pies, into sections, into slices. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. It divides it into slices according to the numbers. So now let us take this to our data sets. Let us take this to our worksheet, and then we see. So we can also see this is a pie chart. This is a pie chart, and we have our legends. We have our legends. Your legends, for every pie chart that you create, you always have legends showing, because it is dividing it into slices, and the slices will be represented by different colors. So right now, I know that my dark blue represents Toyota, the orange Nissan, green Chevrolet, and so on and so forth. So we can see, I think Toyota has the biggest slice, because it has the largest profit. Toyota has the largest profit. So, okay, let us try to modify this chart using our chart elements that we've talked about earlier, using our chart elements. Okay, so let us first name our chart. Very, very important. Um, profit, profit of car make. Okay, we make it bold, make it big a bit. Profit of car make. This is our chart title. Okay, let me remove this field button. This field button where my mouse is. Remember, I said right click on it, and then you come to hide all field buttons on chart. Hide all field buttons on chart. That's hidden. You don't need to remove your legend. You need your legend here in this chart, so that we can know which color which color represents each car make. Okay, so let us see. Let us see car. Let us look at our data labels. Let us click on the data labels. Right now, you can see I click on my data labels, and each section is showing me the price of the car makes themselves. We can see Toyota is showing me 853,659. Nissan here is showing me 796,000 plus, and so on and so forth. So we can actually work on this. Okay, it's not actually visible. We can click on them. Let us give it a white color. I think white should be able to show very well on those background. Okay, you can see is more visible now. You can see. So this ordinarily anybody seeing this will know that, oh, okay, these are the numbers for each of these car make the profit. Let me add a separator and the currency to this. Let me add a currency to this and remove so we can all see. This is explanatory enough. But one thing I want you guys to note when you are creating, when you are working with a pie chart is, normally it is ideal to use a pie chart when your information is not much. At least when what you are representing is not more than 4, maximum 4, or maximum 5. If you are using a pie chart to represent information that has maybe like 10, maybe you are showing top 10 of one criteria, maybe you are showing top 10 of one criteria, and then you are using a pie chart to represent that information, you're going to have so many colors, and you're going to put off your audience, in the sense that they will not be looking for each color, and some colors might even be identical, they might be similar, and your information, what you're trying to present, they won't get it. So limit the use of your pie chart to when you're having less information. Like this one that we are doing now, we only have 5 information showing there. You can see the colors are quite distinct, and the pie chart is visible enough. But imagine there are now 10 or 15 or 20. Your pie chart, yes, you still get your information, but even you would not be able to make sense, because you will have multiple colors, and then you'll be trying to link one color to each of the item. So that is what we need to be conversant about when we are working with a pie chart. So at this junction, let me bring you back to filtering. Right now, we have 5 of these cars and then their profit. So let me go back to filtering. Right now, let me get the top two cars that are giving us the highest profit. What I want to show you is that whatever you do on your pivot table, it is going to reflect on your chart. So now let me get a top 2 for this. Remember, when we did earlier, we said you right click and then you come to filter and then you select top 10. We said we want to get 2. So let's get our 2. And then we click on OK. Can you see my chart? My chart is imitating the pivot table. That is why I said anything you do on your pivot table, it is going to be reflected on your chart. Right now, I got top 2 on my pivot table. My chart is showing me only 2 items right now. The top 2 items which are on the pivot table, which is Toyota and Nissan. So I only wanted to touch on this and let you guys know this. So we've been able to do 3 charts. Let us see what we can do for this other analysis that we have here. So we go to insert charts. So right now, remember, we've talked about column charts, we've talked about line charts, we've talked about pie charts. We'll be talking about bar charts. Bar charts. Let us click bar charts and then we click OK. It is similar to the first one we did, column chart, in the sense that column chart is horizontal, I think, and this one is vertical, whichever way that is. So is this still representing what our data? Let me sort this by largest to smallest. It is still representing our data from our pivot table. So now let us apply our chart titles. We have a chart title created for us again, but our chart title is not total. So we need to edit that. Our chart title is what? Price of car color. Price of car color. So that is our chart title, price of car color. Like we said, let's get rid of the field buttons. Right click on any of them, hide all field buttons. I want to get rid of my grid lines. I want to get rid of my grid lines. I remove my grid lines. Okay, my grid lines are gone. I want to get rid of one of these axes, the primary horizontal axis. I want to get rid of them. And then I want my data labels. So you can all see. And then, okay, I don't want the legend because I'm only representing one information. I don't want the legend, and that's gone. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you modify charts. So from here, you can apply whatever you want to apply. You can come to the design. Maybe you need another design. You want to get another design. You can do, there are multiple designs here. There are multiple designs here, which can actually enhance your charts a bit. But please, guys, remember what I said earlier. We are analysts. Our business is to what? Present the data. So be mindful of how much color you apply to your data. If you're going to be using colors at all, let them be uniform. Do you understand? And don't let your chart be too colorful that it will be hurting your audience eyes. They will not be able to make sense of everything because the color is already overshadowing your information. Your information is supposed to overshadow every other thing. So you make your colors, your formatting, everything you do, you make it uniform. It has to be the same across board. If you are applying this kind of design to this chart, then make sure that it is the kind of design that you are applying to all the charts going forward. Do you understand? It's not that here you now apply another chart that look like this. Look for that same design you use and stick with it. Look for that same design you use and stick with it, and make sure that your charts are uniform across board. Do you understand? So that your audience don't lose focus and they don't lose interest because of the way your colors are clashing with the information. So okay, so right now I'm going to see, let me see if I can take one more chart, or we continue with that in the next class. Okay, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this junction, I think we'll have to call today's class a day. We've been able to do so many things in the sense that I taught us how to create pivot tables again. I taught us how to update your pivot table by refreshing your data. I also showed you guys how to filter and sort your pivot tables. You filter according to top whatever you want to get, or bottom whatever you want to get, and then you can sort your other column, your values column, by either showing the values from the largest to the smallest, or from the smallest to the what largest. I also told you about how, if you encounter some problems in on your pivot table, for example, if your field list, if your pivot right now, my fields is not showing. Right now, my field is not showing. Your field is supposed to be by the right. Your field is where you drew all those things into your columns and the values. Right now, it's not showing, and I want to bring it back. I just right click anywhere, and then I said show field list. And you see my field list is back. So those are one of the problems that you can encounter when you are working on a pivot table. But it shouldn't be a problem. You don't need to exit your work. You don't need to panic. You don't need to start creating another file. All you need to do is right click on your pivot table and go to the last option, which is show field list, and your field list is going to come up. I also taught us how to remove grand total. For example, now this particular pivot table is showing me grand total. I don't need a grand total in my pivot table. So how do I remove it? I said you right click, and then you come to pivot table options. You click on totals and filters, and then you unclick all the grand totals here, and then you click what? Okay. So once you've done that, you can see your grand total is no longer there. And then lastly, we talked about charts. We talked about how to insert charts. So we were able to create more different kind of chart. This was a column chart. And from there, I taught you how to use your chart elements. I taught you how to use your chart element. We talked about the axes. The axes are the primary, horizontal, and the vertical, or your X and the Y. I said it is ideal most of the times for you to have your axis on, so that when you're presenting your data, even you will understand what you're presenting. You won't lose focus, and your audience too will understand what you're presenting. So from the axis, I said, since you have an axis, it is ideal for you to also name your axis. We use this car axis as an example, that not everybody will know that Chevrolet is a car or Ford is a car. But if you name that axis and you name these are cars, when they see cars, they know, oh, everything under that axis is actually talking about cars. So that is it for axis title. And I said the next thing on that element was your chart title. It is ideal. It makes sense for you to always name your charts. So that, because that is one of the first things people are going to notice about your chart. They'll say, okay, this chart, what is it talking about? Okay, let me look at the title. Once they see the title of this, okay, price and cost of car makes, they say, oh, it's actually talking about the price and the cost of each of the car makes. So that is your chart title. That is imperative. Then we talked about data labels. Data labels are the actual figures for each of these data. They are the numbers that you can see. They are the numbers that you can see that are attached to each of these columns. You understand? Which even makes your chart much more informative, in the sense that when you are presenting, people can actually see this. People can actually see this at a go and understand and know the actual value that is behind these bars showing. So we talked, lastly, I think what we talked about here was the importance of the ones we talked about, where it was removing your grid lines. Removing your grid lines. Right now, the grid line here has been removed. You can bring it back according to whatever you like, or you remove it. And then your legend. I said legends are important when you are showing more than one data. Your legend is important when you are showing more than one data. For example, now this chart is showing two kinds of data, your price and your cost. So you need your legend to actually tell you which is which. You need your legend to tell you which color is representing which value. Right now, in this one that we are looking at, the blue is representing the price, while the orange is representing what? The cost. So it is always important to leave your legend on in this type of chart. For this kind of chart, which is only showing one information, you actually don't need your legend, so you remove your legend. because it's only one legend, it's only one information you are showing. This is just the cost, while this other one was showing price and cost. So we were able to talk about the chart elements, and from there we also were able to see how different kind of charts look like. This is a column chart. We're able to, this is our first chart we did. This is a line chart. It's also a very, very good chart to use when you are representing your information. And this is a pie chart. I remember what I talked to you, what I said about pie chart. When you are using a pie chart, endeavor to limit your pie charts to when you don't have much information. Maximum 4. You should have 4 information. So that means your whole pie will just be divided into 4 slices. Your whole pie will just be divided into 4 slices. When you're having multiple information, when you have many information like 10, 15, 20, and you're using pie charts, you won't be able to make sense of it because the slices will be too small and the colors will be too much for you to make sense of. So lastly, we talked about the another kind of chart, which is the bar chart, which is the bar chart, which is like this. So ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of this pivot table class. Please, if there's any point you have missed so far, kindly watch this video. I believe watching the video multiple times will answer majority of your questions. So by next class, we are going to continue from where we stop. We are going to talk about the functionality of all other charts, how they look like, and how they work. So please, guys, please remember the assignments. The deadline for the assignment is Thursday. The assignment is on the group chat. For those of us that have not come across that, is on the group chat. How to submit also is on the group chat, and the instructions for the assignment is also on the group chat. If you're having any issues, please watch this video. I believe it is explanatory enough. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this class. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to see you guys next week. Good night.